With his usual clarity, the Noble Lord McCall has introduced his amendments to clauses 63 and 64. I regard it as one of the privileges of serving in your Lordship's House to have become a friend of the Noble Lord McCall over these last 20 years. I not only deeply admire everything he's done on the issue of human trafficking, but have also seen firsthand some of the extraordinary work that he's done with mercy ships, where he's given so much of his life and time as a very notable surgeon. So I have no hesitation today in echoing the remarks that he's made to your Lordship's House. I'm not sure I can echo the Zulu remarks that he quoted, although I think Nelson Mandela once quoted a Zulu saying about Ubuntu, brotherhood, where he said that a person is a person because of other people. And in many respects, I suppose that goes to the heart of what we're trying to express in these debates and amendments today. My Lords, statutory support for victims in England and Wales during the time they are in the national referral mechanism, which was the subject of the amendments I moved earlier, 156A and B, that recovery period, that is long overdue. We're 7 years behind Northern Ireland and Scotland, and I welcome the government catching up with the rest of the UK. And I might say, with the Noble Lord Morrow here within hearing distance, that I deeply admire what he managed to achieve in Northern Ireland, and will look forward to hearing what he has to say about his Amendment 171B, which, again, I associate myself with, and with, indeed, support all the other amendments in this group. I draw the attention of the committee to the current version of the statutory guidance on victim support in England and Wales, which says this: the modern slavery victim care contract operates as a bridge to lift adult victims out of a situation of exploitation and to set them on a pathway to rebuilding their lives. As such, it's important that no support provided through the modern slavery victim care contract prevents potential victims or victims from accessing support they would otherwise be entitled to receive. My Lords, the statement about what a victim is entitled to receive goes straight to the heart of Amendments 169A and 170A. Under this bill, what does the government intend to provide in terms of support? Noble Lord McCall said that without support, the bill just simply becomes a mirage. And I thought that was a very good metaphor that he used. So what are the government going to do to provide support during the recovery period? And will the support be in line with Article 12 of the European Convention? I mean, the noble and learned Lord the Minister, Lord Stewart, earlier on, and his noble and learned friend, Lord Wolfson, earlier than that, both talked to us about the importance of compatibility in these areas. But as the noble Baroness Lady Ludford said in her remarks, we seem to pick and choose what we want to have compatibility with and what we don't wish to have compatibility with. Well, the frequently referred to and very admirable Joint Committee on Human Rights of your Lordship's House recently published their review of Part 5, and they highlighted Clause 63, new Section 50A MSA, and it says does not specify details as to what any necessary assistance and support should include, leading to some ambiguity, a word I referenced earlier on in connection with being in good faith, as to whether Clause 63, new Section 50A MSA, will indeed adequately give effect to the UK's obligations under Article 12 ECAT to provide the types of assistance specified in that article. The committee said, and again it's worth recording for Hansard, that the Secretary of State should confirm whether necessary assistance and support will include all of the types of assistance listed in Article 12 ECAT. So all of us will listen closely to the response to these particular amendments from the noble and learned Lord the Minister, and specifically on that point about whether the support is going to be in line with Article 12 of the European Convention. My Lords, I've also co-signed the Noble Lord's Amendment 170, and I've said already the stated objective of the government support to victims is, I quote, to lift adult victims out of a situation of exploitation and to set them on a pathway of rebuilding their lives. My Lords, who could disagree with that? All the evidence from those working with victims is that this goal is far from completed, though, when a person is confirmed as a victim of modern slavery by the government. To continue on the pathway to recovery, as the government itself has acknowledged, the victim needs much longer support. The Noble Lord McCall has been making that case for many years in your Lordship's House, and I've been happy on previous occasions to give him support, and I'm glad he's taken the opportunity in this bill today. But if the Noble and Learned Lord the Minister cannot agree to incorporate this now, will he at least tell the Noble Lord McCall and members of your Lordship's House that when the putative legislation which was referred to earlier on in this area is brought forward, that it will at least be attended to then? I'm glad that the government has recognised the need, but I do now think it should act to bring its commitment into a concrete reality. To end, my Lords, I also want to touch briefly on the amendment to Clause 64 in the Noble Lord's name, which seeks to give victims who are eligible for support leave to remain. It's not just the right thing to do for these individuals. It makes policy sense to ensure that we're able to bring perpetrators to justice, something that's been said again and again. Noble Lord Coker, Noble Baroness Lady Hanway and others have re-emphasised this throughout this morning's debates. Without evidence from victims, cases are much harder to prosecute. It also, though, and here's an interesting point, I thought anyway when thinking about these amendments, it makes economic sense. A 2019 report from the University of Nottingham, which the Noble Lord Coker will be well aware of, on an earlier version of the Modern Slavery Victim Support Bill tabled by the Noble Lord McCull, showed his bill was, I quote, value for money. I hope that the Noble and Learned Lord's officials have drawn that report to his attention. So I ask the Noble Lord, the Minister, why would the government not support the amendments in the name of the Noble Lord McCall of Dulwich and give this vital support to victims of modern slavery?